Coming up, arrests are made after a string of ATM thefts across southern Kentucky. And officials share information and resources on International Overdose Awareness Day.
Plus, cut off those air conditioners and throw open those windows because Mother Nature's got some free AC headed our way. The breakdown on the way as First at 4 continues.
Mountain News First at 4 continues.
Two people are facing charges after a string of costly ATM thefts in several southern Kentucky counties. The two Knox County men are accused of stealing trucks and vans, ramming them into stores, then ripping out the ATMs. It's happened in at least 3 counties and possibly more. WYMT's Phil Pendleton has more on what led police to the suspects.
Corbin police tell me that the two suspects are Dave E. Smith and B.J. Hubbard. Both are facing similar charges based on what took place at stores and businesses all over this part of southern Kentucky. Police say the fact the pair used the same tactics and methods in nearly every crime helped them as they gathered evidence and details to arrest Hubbard and Smith. Both will face theft and criminal mischief charges, and police believe in nearly every case they stole a truck and used that to rip out an ATM from a business. Sometimes they made off with the cash, other times they left empty-handed, but each time they caused thousands of dollars in damages to the places they hit.
It's a lot of damage, and you figure by the time it's all said and done, we've got a damaged building that has to be replaced for each of these crimes. We have a vehicle that's been stolen and damaged that's going to have to be fixed or replaced, an ATM that's stolen and damaged, and that's before you even get to any of the money that was inside of them.
The Knox County Sheriff tells me that these two are likely persons of interest in at least 3 ATM thefts that have occurred all over Knox County. That's because these two suspects are from Knox County, the Flat Lake community. It
was Phil Pendleton reporting. Hubbard remains in jail, but Smith was released on an administrative bond. The prosecutor says if Smith is indicted, he will also ask the judge to set a cash-only bond for him. August 31st marks International Overdose Awareness Day. Kentucky River community care workers want to keep everyone educated on the signs of an overdose and connect people with the resources they need to recover from addiction. Director of Program Development with KRCC, Adam Maggard, says a big misconception people have is that active drug addicts are the ones who usually overdose, but this is not always the case. Maggard says those who overdose are sometimes people in their recovery journey.
Most of the time when we're talking overdose, and especially a fatal overdose, we're talking somebody that's been clean for a while and is trying to, that just relapses, has a bad day, has an event happen, and they try to go back to using what they were using at one point.
Later this evening, WYMT's Alyssa Williams will highlight the stories of 2 KRCC workers who have overcome addiction, with one worker sharing her own overdose story in honor of Overdose Awareness Day. We'll have that tonight at 6. Dumas Rescue is known for helping local animals in need, but the group is also usually working to help mountain people. After the floods tore through eastern Kentucky, the group wanted to find a way to help. So today, working with the Floyd County Sheriff's Office and a group of retired lawyers, an effort came together to offer FEMA application appeals assistance to those in need, which the attorneys say they are happy to do if it shoulders some of the burden for their neighbors.
It's sometimes a laborious process, and our goal was just to help them a little bit and also to make people understand that there are people who still care.
The appeals assistance wrapped up for the day, but the group plans to return and pitch in more in the days to come.
First look at the forecast this Wednesday afternoon. Looking fantastic outside. Plenty of sunshine and comfortable temperatures. A look outside from our Mountain Parkway camera at Slade. Temperature sitting at 83. Plenty of sunshine. I don't even see, now granted, I think there's one cloud back there. You can't see it. It's kind of hidden behind that banner, but looking pretty good. Temperatures around the region, upper 70s to low 80s. Around the mountains right now, a little bit cooler into southwest Virginia. It usually is. Wise sitting at 73 there at Lonesome Pine Airport. Upper 50s to near 60 for the dew points, and even some middle 60s or middle 50s out there. So we are basking in the lower humidity air right now. Just some ground clutter on Pinpoint Doppler. Heading through tonight, upper 50s to near 60. Winds calm to light and variable. Mostly clear with a little bit of patchy fog we'll have to deal with as we run through tonight. Details on when we could see a return to some heat coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
Evan, thank you. Today marks 25 years since Princess Diana was killed in a car crash in Paris. CBS's Ian Lee has this look back.
A quarter of a century after her death, the People's Princess can still draw a crowd.
We wanted her to be our queen. We got the news that she'd been killed in Paris in a car accident in the middle of the night. It was horrendous.
Princess Diana was 36 when she died after being chased through the French capital by the paparazzi.
It was heartbreaking the day it happened. It was a tragic loss for so many.
The tragedy came 1 year after Diana's divorce from Prince Charles, a troubled marriage she spoke about in a bombshell interview.
Well, there were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded.
We now know the journalist lied to get the interview. Her relationship with the media was always complicated.
Her legacy, of course, is mainly rests in the shape of her sons.
Princes William and Harry were just 15 and 12 when they lost their mother. They're now promising to pass her legacy to their kids.
To share the spirit of my mum with my family, with my children who I wish could have met her. Every day, I hope to do her proud.
The princes are carrying on their mother's mission to help others through charities they support.
She did a fine job raising 2 fine boys.
The brothers are remembering their mother in private as the public pays tribute to a princess taken too soon. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
In a sign of people's enduring fascination with Princess Diana, last weekend a sporty Ford Escort she once owned sold for $764,000 at auction. Well-wishers in Paris were paying their respects to Princess Diana today on the anniversary of her death.
It became a very emotional moment when I realized it's been, to the day, 25 years. I mean, it was heartbreaking the day it happened. It was a tragic loss for so many. She was the people's princess. She was down to earth, real, and it was such a tragedy.
The Flame of Liberty stands above the Point Diama tunnel where Diana and her boyfriend Dodi Al-Fayed died in a car accident when their driver lost control of their Mercedes as it was pursued by the paparazzi. Sweltering summer heat is forcing nearly 120 schools in one of the nation's largest cities to close several hours early for the second day in a row on just the 3rd day of the school year. It's just the latest example of how infrastructure troubles are disrupting the national education system. CBS's Elise Preston has more from Philadelphia.
It's ridiculous. They should not be in school with the heat like this.
Some classrooms have air conditioning, but most of them don't. So it's like hard to stay focused.
It's unacceptable.
Mom Cherise Workman told us her 16-year-old son, Jules, spent much of his sophomore year baking at Paul Robeson High School.
Jules had to go to the nurse's office to get relief from the heat because that was the only place that had air conditioning.
So Workman advocated to get AC put in over the summer, and as a result, her son's school did not have to close yesterday. Still, the district says the Robeson High building is inadequate and obsolete.
Missing school is associated with worse test scores and worse outcomes generally.
American University professor Claudia Persico says Philadelphia's shortcomings are part of a greater national problem. A recent federal survey found that around 54% of U.S. school districts needed to update infrastructure and estimated that students in roughly 36,000 schools are saddled with outdated heating, ventilation, and AC systems.
What is the impact every day and long term on the kids that go to those schools?
Heat impacts learning across the school year, potentially making it harder for kids to learn and focus. There's also evidence that if you take a test on a particularly hot day, you'll score much lower than if you took a test on a cooler day.
As for Cherise Workman and her son Jules,
what is the message to people who can fix this.
I don't understand why any school district would subject their students to unsafe, deplorable, oppressive conditions.
Nationally, low-income students are disproportionately hurt by crumbling infrastructure. Here in Philadelphia, the district tells CBS News the average school building is more than 72 years old, and the district is in the process of installing air conditioning across the city. The whole process could take 2 years. Regular school hours resume Thursday. Elise Preston, CBS News, Philadelphia.
One school superintendent says more than half of facilities in the district do not have adequate air conditioning. Coming up, as First at 4 continues, high school football teams are being affected by supply chain issues as many face a football helmet shortage.
And a cooler evening expected as dry weather works in. I mean, look at the beautiful skies. Details, though, on when things get warmer ahead.